ring, the taker, not the swing. Couple bombs was shaking, the earth was quaking, my mind was aching. I'm thanking you to be all
Here we go. Oh man, is it already Monday? It's already Monday. Did y'all get them children out there? You got to get them children out there because it's Halloween. Hear that? That's the werewolf dance. That's called that werewolf dance. You can almost hear them when you really think about it. If you really think about that sound, you can almost hear and imagine werewolf dancing. You know, and dancing together too. Like a lot of people, you think, you know, werewolf only have to dance by themselves, but werewolves can dance together. Not in groups, I don't think, where they, you know, one of them, you know, where they dance like in a group and then one of them gets in the middle of a circle and like, you know, does their best moves and then they get out and the next werewolf goes in. I don't think it's like that, but I think it would be neat actually if a scientist, you know, or somebody with scientific information about wolves and werewolves, you know, which are, I'm guessing, just fucking gangster wolves, really, you know, or wolves, you know, that know where they are, as opposed to wolves that are just kind of, you know, being willy-nilly out there, lost wolves. But werewolves, if they could set up music out there in the wild and then have cameras hidden and see if these animals would dance. And of course, I know that these animals aren't going to dance to the level that I'm thinking, you know, with the circle and one of them gets in the middle and does the, you know, the Bernie or the, the Running Man or the whatever, the twerking or whatever. I know animals aren't going to do that, but just to see how they would behave with music around. Because one thing that we don't get to see a lot when you think about it is wild animals with music. We don't. We see a lot of wild animals just, you know, doing stuff and wild animals that are put to music later on. But I feel like we don't get to see a lot of wild animals with music. So that would be something I think interesting to see. If you're hearing a noise right now, I'm just cutting on my third camera. That's all that is. Okay, cool. Thank you guys for joining us. Happy Halloween. You know, it's here and it's Monday and it's October 30th. And I know that my nieces and nephews are going trick-or-treating today down there in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I want to let you know out of the gate, thank you to our charter sponsor. That's Gray Block Pizza, 1811 Pico Boulevard in Los Angeles, on your way to the beach. Okay? They got the Buster. They got the Zingaro, the deep cheese. So you can meet yourself up, or you can go with that famous salad pizza if you're leaning out for a special quinceañera or for a funeral. Show up at death's doorstep looking sleek, you little dark animal. If you're Italian, if you're not, doesn't matter. It's the place. Gray Block Pizza, Grey, blockpizza.com. Order online when you're in Los Angeles. And we're happy to have them, and I'm happy to have you guys. Happy Halloween. Man, I had a wild weekend, I'm going to tell you that. I went to, first I was honestly feeling like not doing anything. You know, I'll be honest with you. You know, what happened was I came in Friday night, and Saturday I just woke up. I didn't really feel like doing much, you know, but a friend of mine invited me to go to El Dia de los Muertos at the Hollywood Cemetery in Los Angeles. And so next thing you know, I'm out there, and I got to say this. If you're going to die Mexican. That's the way to die. On Halloween, this whole cemetery, obviously the cemetery have dead people in it, you know, and it had a lot of, you know, they have some celebrities in there, and they just got a lot of rich, you know, they got a lot of Yiddish people, a lot of old Hollywood names. You know, it's Hollywood. It's Hollywood. It's what Hollywood is. And they had Chris Cornell was in there. He had one of the fresher graves, you know, and so he had a lot of fresh flowers by his. A lot of people taking pictures, you know. The Ramones, some of the Ramones, Johnny Ramone, I guess. You know, they had some famous actresses and actors, but Mexican people, and I can say Latinos, but it's Mexican, I believe, who take it over, and they're throwing parties. I mean, they're dancing on the, you know, around the graves, and there's, you know, they're putting all these sweet treats. They got cupcakes on the headstone. And it's really a dichotomy in your brain when you see that. Because you look at a headstone, you don't think of it as a serving tray, you know? You think of it as, or I've always thought of it as, let me put it on me. I've always thought of a headstone as just, under that, somebody dead. But during El Dia de los Muertos, which is the Mexican Halloween, they have like it's like part of a party. It's basically you're partying with dead people. And it sounds crazy, but I realize that the way to die is to die Mexican. You know, I think living American is pretty neat. I think we got a lot, you know, obviously living American is extremely comfortable. I'm not going to deny that. You know, I think that we lack some in the sense of community and some of those things sometimes, and thinking about humanity first over, you know, technology and those sorts of things. But whatever, man, those are big picture thoughts. But if you're going to die Mexican. I mean, look, if I come down with stage 3 cancer, brother, you can bet I'm spending that last stage. That last stage is going to be me hitchhiking down to Cancun, you know, or Puerto Vallarta, you know, or Nogales. You know, that's what I'm going to spend my last stage getting, because, dude, when you die in Mexico, they come see you. They put cupcakes on your gravestone. People sitting on the side of a casket sipping limonada. I'm just telling you, because, you know, I have friends that are dead, dude. I know some dead. And I go visit them, and it's just calm, you know, and it's, you know, you have to cry. It's, you know, where some of those feelings come up. And I think some of those feelings can come up as well in this Latin version of death. But I'm telling you that dying and dying Mexican style, you know, wrap me up in a flour tortilla, boy, before you put me in the ground. Embalming is for straight up, you know, gringos, homie. You know what I'm saying? Wrap me up in a damn taquito. You know, I want each one of my legs wrapped in a taquito. You can go burrito with the upper half of my body, and badao. Bury me, Mexican. Because look, man, I mean, the kids are out there. There's candy. There's fun. There's music. And they have that amazing face painting you're seeing now, where it's like this artistic skeleton. You know, and it's like the kind of jeweled, kind of artistic half of the skeleton face. And they're doing all that. And that was at El Dia de los Muertos. But anyhow, I had a great time out there. And I got a costume on. So if you want to see my costume, come to the YouTube channel. And listen, if you're listening to this on iTunes, on YouTube, Spotify, wherever you're listening to it, come and subscribe. Okay? Can you do that for me? Come and subscribe. Because that's how I show what I'm doing. You know, that's how I'm able to get people to come on board and support this podcast. And with that said, I want to thank my Patreon supporters, that Gunt squad. You know, they're out there, and I appreciate it. We just got some new lighting. They're not up yet because I don't know how to put them up. But I'm going to have a guy come install them, and I'll show you on Patreon the new lights. And we'll put extended footage on Patreon. You can support the podcast. Patreon, patreon.com/Theo Von. But man, if you're going to die Mexican. or get involved in El Dia de los Muertos. Find a celebration that is close to you. Go check it out. Man, it blew my mind. Sorry, I had a little bit of coffee there. I know I make a lot of mouth sounds, and I've talked about it before. I make a lot of, there's a lot of, you can hear me swallowing and this and that. I got a big lip, I got that maki, that bottom lip. I got that sashimi, Daddy got that sunburnt snail laying below his upper lip. So, you know what I'm saying? If you ever had seen a vagina and one side of it been kind of bit by a spider, that's what I got that bottom lip like that. And I'm not saying that to be vulgar, but I am saying that to be descriptive and to be accurate. Because I am trying these days to be as accurate as I can, so you know what I'm talking about and you know what I'm going through. But yeah, man, I woke up Saturday and I didn't feel like doing anything. And one thing that happened was I had I did a comedy show Friday night, and Joe Rogan was there. He's in the audience, and in the morning he sent me a text and he just said, "Hey man, you were really funny last night," and I know I've talked about this a little bit before. A lot of these comedians that do that, Coco Diaz and Rogan, Kirk Fox, Neil Brennan, Ian Edwards, some guys that are experienced, successful, and instead of just being that and keeping all that to themselves, they could just stay in that world, but instead they choose to reach out every now and then and let somebody who doesn't have as much time and as much experience as them, and as much talent as them in some cases, know, hey man, I see what you're doing, and I feel like you're doing a good job. And I'll tell you this, man, honestly, that's one of the things that got me going Saturday morning, was having somebody else kind of show a little bit of care, So I'm gonna try to remember to do that as my week goes on. But yeah, man, I went out to that El Dia de los Muertos, had a nice time, and then I got into. Oh, I'll tell you this. Let me tell you a Halloween story. Because, when I grew up in a time when you did as much tricking as you did treating. You did as much tricking as you did treating. I mean, they had a dude in our neighborhood who passed away, this old man, right? Passed away on Halloween Day. And dude, I will bet you fucking 4 rusty shotguns that they sat that man out on the front porch that night. Did they tell everybody he was dead? No. No, if you were smart and your soul was well calibrated, you could walk up and feel that the man wasn't living. You could trust in your own instincts as you walked up there to get you a Snicker or a mint. Sometimes they had a handful of mints over at that house, I remember. And if you got there too late, all the mints had stuck together in the bowl because they were mints that were out of wrappers. Cheapest mints you can get is you can get a sack of peppermints. You used to be able to. No wrappers on them, dude. That's when I grew up. Candy wasn't, a wrapper was something to fancy, You had to go to the fancy neighborhoods if you wanted wrapped candy. I remember you get up to that bowl, you couldn't even separate the mints from each other. At a certain time of night, it was whoever got to that bowl ran off just with a damn chunk of mint. I mean, you could walk off with 1.5 pounds of mint under your arm because all the mint was stuck together. And you got all the candy, and that was it. And the rest of the night, people was trying to get at you, trying to chip them off a little nugget of joy, a little, their little serving of Halloween goodness. So it was almost like a little bit of rugby. Once whoever got to that mint house first and got that chunk, because the only thing you could do, get that chunk away from the bowl. Separate that big chunk of mint, because there was no not everybody had wrappers. A lot of these kids grew up in these wrappered places where they had different wrappers on all the candy. Some houses you went up to and they just asked you how you were feeling, how everything was doing. How you doing, little Fauntleroy? Well, we didn't have all that. But anyhow, I guarantee you they left that man out there on Halloween, a real dead man on the front porch. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That's part. If I get to die on Halloween, you better fucking, I want you to stick both of my hands up with all 10 rigor mortis, ice cold hard fingers pointing upward. Then I want you to slowly fold down and inward 8 of those fingers. And the 2 fingers you leave up, boy, they better be those frickin' northbound soldiers right in the middle of my hands, baby. Fuck you. That's what I'm saying when I'm out of here. And you can leave me on the front porch, you know? You can even put a sign around my neck, maybe dead, ? Or how about this? Living, ? You know? Or living, uncertain emoji. You know? You can do that for me. Because I think that's okay. That's some of the fun about life, you know? Running up to somebody's porch in the dark and not knowing if the man in the chair is dead. You know, that's how stories are started and, you know, lore happens and interest and intrigue by leaving a dead man on the porch for maybe 18 hours to get a little bit extra squeeze out of his life. But yeah, man, those were good times in Halloween. And I'll tell you another good time that I had before I tell you about the rest of my weekend. Dude, I went to Maroon 5 had a party last night. And I went there, and it was interesting. Or Adam Levine and his band, Adam Levine, from, some of y'all know him from whatever the chair, the spinning chair. You know, it's like a barber's chair, but they're helping people sing The Voice, you know. A lot of you guys know him from that. I went to that party this weekend, and I'll tell you that about that as well. In just a little bit, we're going to get to that. But first, let me tell you about this dead bird. This past weekend. Now, I'm not freshly shorn at the moment, but I will be at some point. And you've heard me talk of the amazing shaves that I give myself. And I get them from my Dollar Shave Club razor, especially when I use it with their Dr. Carver's shave butter. You almost want to put it on a waffle, but legally you shouldn't. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, I never will give up my membership. In fact, I'm adding even more Dollar Shave Club products to my daily routine. Dollar Shave Club makes products for your hair, face, skin, shower, everything you need. Wash yourself, treat yourself. You deserve it. They only use the finest premium ingredients and they deliver it to you, the user. Just like they do their razors. No more annoying trips to the store. Just open up your door and you got that Dollar Shave Club hit. I use it for almost everything. Razors, body cleanser, hair gel, and yes, even butt wipes. That's right. Get tween them cheeks on that Dollar Shave Club. You know what I'm saying? It has you covered head to toe. You can get your first month of their best razor along with travel size versions of shave butter, body cleanser, and yes, even butt wipes. For just $5. After that, replacement cartridges ship for just a few bucks a month. It's the Dollar Shave Club Starter Set. Starter Set. Get yours for just $5 exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/weekend. That's dollarshaveclub.com/weekend. Thanks for your support. This past weekend. But first, let me tell you about this dead bird. So I used to live in a popular city, and I'm not going to tell you the name of that city in case anybody goes back in time and tries to stalk me. But I used to live in a popular city over on the coast. And it was a beautiful city, beautiful old southern city. And I lived there, and one of my friends that I lived with at one point was a female, Kiki, this beautiful girl named Kiki. And she, often you could find her on roller skates. But this particular evening, she was flat-footed. And this particular evening was Halloween. And so we were both dressed up, you know, or getting dressed up, or gonna get into our costume. But we said, you know what? We can't be selfish Halloweeners. We need to go get us some candy and leave it out for somebody or many people that want to come and get a piece of us, you know, come and knock on our door because we've been waiting for you. So we start going walking. Okay, and on the way to the CVS, we found a dead bird, and they had a bird, and this bird had just died. Okay, so I'm gonna say it like that. Like sometimes, let me say this: this bird was freshly dead, brand new dead. Let's say it like that. Now, if you walk up on a bird, okay, or and it's freshly dead, I feel like you have some responsibility to it, you know? Like, say if you walk up on a person has been dead 4, 5 days, 2 weeks, or whatever. You're just like, you know, maybe a couple Snapchat things, you know, maybe one filter over their face. But then you're going to call the police. You're going to run off. You're going to experience some fear or some disgust or some separation. You're not going to feel an attraction as compared to if somebody has just died. If somebody's just died, then they're freshly dead, you know? If somebody's brand new dead, then you're going to feel some responsibility towards them. So what happened was me and Kiki are walking to the CVS to get us some candy, some wrapped candies, individually wrapped, and there was a dead bird right there, brand new dead. And so we're like, damn, you know, this bird's dead, you know? But we felt some responsibility. I mean, this bird had probably died a minute before we got there, maybe, or 40 minutes before, but it had so recently died that it was more living than it was dead. And so we felt some responsibility towards it. So we picked up the bird and put it in a little bit of a box, you know? And not a big box, a small box, kind of. Say if you had a Cracker Jack, you know the Cracker Jack boxes, your little Cracker Jack box, right? Say if you took that exact same shape of the box, but you made it about 5 times, more space inside of it. So, you know, it's just like a bigger Cracker Jack box that a small bird could fit down inside of it. And if you shook the box a little, you could hear the bird move from side to side a little bit. And the box was about 1 foot long. I'm just trying to give you an idea of what the box was like that we put the bird in. So anyhow, we're walking over to this CVS, right? And right when we get inside, there's a man in there. We're walking around, and it's kind of, you know, there's kind of a vibe in the air during Halloween where people are fun. You know, we have a sense of something we're all about to do together, you know, like, oh, people are going to trick or treat, or are you going to go to a party? What's going on? And so that's the vibe that's there. That's the energy that's going on. So there's a man there in the aisle, and he said, you know, this man was nosy. I'm guessing, and I'll tell you why he might have been nosy, because I'm going to tell you about he just said. He said, what's in the box? And right there, that lets me know that he's nosy, you know, unless, you know, he has spent his whole life wondering what's in this particular box. Then I would say he's more, he's more trying to live out his dreams. But I doubt he was doing that, so I'm guessing this man is nosy. He says, what's in the box? And so I showed him this bird, right? Dead bird in the box, dude. This brand new dead. And then the dude gets pissed at me, right? He's like, it's not a dead bird. You know, kind of offended. That's not a dead bird. And I'm like, dude, this is a dead bird, dude. I'm not going to lie about a dead bird. I mean, the bird is dead. There's nothing, you know, lying about it isn't going to get anybody anywhere, because nothing's going to get anywhere. Nobody's getting anywhere anyway. The bird's dead. I just happen to have it in here because it had just died. And, you know, if something's just died, you have some liability towards it. So anyhow, the dude's like, gets pissed. He's like, it's not a dead. I'm like, it's a dead bird. Dude touches it. Bird's dead, right? Now dude's pissed because I told him the truth. Now he gets to the manager, right? And the manager comes over. I'll say this about the manager. He didn't, the manager's like, the manager didn't speak English organically, okay? That's what he said, right? Spoke pretty much Spanish. And he goes, we don't see this bird. That's what the manager said. We don't see this bird. We don't see this bird. And so I tell him honestly, man, look, we found this bird on the side of your building, dude. And then the dude says, no returns. No returns, man. And I don't know if I've never worked at a CVS, right? Or Rite Aid or other similar types of environments. But I'll say this, dude. I guess the manager on Halloween, anybody can be a manager at CVS on Halloween. I think this dude, they had just drafted this dude, you know, out of like a small Division II CVS. And this dude saying no returns, like, I'm trying to return this bird. right? And this other dude is still complaining to him, you know. And the other gentleman, I'll be honest with you, bro, he's a little tender, dude. He's coming a little bit tender, you know. Nothing wrong with that, but, you know, here's what I think honestly happened with that man. He trying to flirt with me, you know. He trying to flirt with me. What's in the box, you know? And then when I show him what I got in the box, you know, that I honestly have a dead bird. He gets pissed that I have a dead bird, you know? Like I'm lying about this. Like I'm fucking dealing, like I don't deal with fake dead birds, dude. That's bullshit. That's for children. If I have a fucking dead bird, that bird is dead, dude. You know? I'm not Edgar Almost Poe, brother. All right? If I'm showing up with the Raven Daddy, that thing is El Muerto. You know? And then when he realized that I had an actual dead bird and he sees that I got my friend there, Kiki, who's a female, you know, he probably gets a little bent out. That I'm not trying to catch on to his deal. You know, probably trying to be Barbara Streisand or something. You know, I'm not trying to, or he trying to be a ladybug or whatever he's trying to be, you know? And I could tell, I'm just telling you, I'm riding this man's vibes. I don't have any ill will towards this man or whatever his preferences are. But that was his vibe, you know? He starts inching at me, you know, and that's why he got the manager over. And the manager, dude, I thought the manager's cute. I'm like, if you're hitting on anybody, hit on this manager. You know, this dude barely probably even works at this CVS. But the dude says, we don't, I can't remember what he said now. We don't know this bird. And then he said, no returns, dude. And I was like, damn, man. And that got me think, man, no returns, man. You know? That got me thinking no returns. You know, where did this bird go? When he was here, he was gone. Did he return to, you know, is he flying out in the ether? What's he doing now? But anyhow, we left, dude. We got back Halloween, you know, we're going to go out on the evening there in this city, this unnamed city. Because they got them fucking dirty time travelers out there. And I don't put it past somebody on the dark web to be building a time machine and saying, you know what, I'm going to go back to where Theo Von lived. And I'm going to hide out in that dude's backyard. And I'm going to sneak up to his window at night and watch him sit lonely at his computer and probably jerk off. Or probably feel some semblance of unjoy. But anyhow, so we put a box outside of the door. It said, just take one. We wrote on that same box that we had taken. And the top was kind of ripped off of this box. So you got to think of a long box, almost like a shoe box, if you bisected it horizontally. Stand that upright, right on the side. Not home, just take one. And then we put that like at eye level. So you had to reach down into that box to get a candy, you know? And I undid a couple rolls of sprees in there, if you ever had that, you know? And then a couple of wrapped candies, butterscotches. So we got you got some individual sprees, butterscotches in there, all on top of this bird, right? So you had to reach kind of down into the box, and dude, you had to get you a candy, bro, and take that thing on, man. So I don't know if we started a swine flu or what we did, but I will say this. When we got back home that evening from trick-or-treating, there was only about half that candy left in that box, man. And that's God's plan. And that's God's plan, you know. And that's truly beautiful. And that's Halloween. That's Halloween. Doing fun shit, you know. I remember we filled this dude. We had a dude in our town, Mr. Mike, and he'd lost a limb, you know. And he said it was in battle, but I don't think it was in battle, dude. Honestly, I think he's probably fucking around somewhere by a truck or by some machinery. But we filled his leg up with custard one year, dude. Vanilla custard, right? So we're waiting all night for him to get back by his legs because this dude was, I don't want to say he was homeless, but he was outdoors all the time to the point where 90% of the time you wondered if he had an indoors. And he, dude, we saw him finally catch that limb, bro. He's putting it back on, dude. He's going to. Sees it, it's full of this custard. And took that shit straight to the dome, dude. Straight to the dome. And that's Halloween. And that was a bizarre picture I remember that kind of almost enhanced my imagination. Was watching a man, and I think he was on liquor at the time. He looked like he was on liquor, and he was always on liquor. So I wouldn't assume if I saw him at some point that he wouldn't have been on liquor, and this was, you know, some point. So I saw this man drinking custard out of his own leg. And until you've even seen it just takes your brain to another place because you don't think that that's something realistic. You know, you don't think that that's something that's going to happen, that somebody's going to take a sip of something, a sip of a sweet sauce out of their own appendage. You don't think that. And at that point, that's when your brain can get a little bit of Tim Burton in it. You know, when your brain sees things in a way that they aren't normally, you know. But those are two good Halloween stories that I had, or whatever they are. That was some of my Halloweening. But I'm a newsie. That's what I'm dressed up as. And a newsie is a character from a musical. Christian Bale was in it. And I'll put the link to the bio in the YouTube comments and section, you know, and all of that. And you can check it out. But I'm a newsie for Halloween. This is what I've been for a few years. Because I don't prepare enough, you know, and I haven't really had a lover to go out with on the Halloween much. So, you know, I'm not doing any of those dual costumes. You know, I did Jesus. Honestly, I did dress up like Jesus one year, with the wooden cross and everything in Tucson, Arizona. I think I was going through a weird period. Took that to a party. And my girl at the time was dressed like the devil, dressed like Satan. So, and she was a bit of a see you next Tuesday, if you will, take that acronym. But she was also, she was cool. She was fun. But anyway, man, that was a wild one that I had. What else? I dressed up like a pedophile one time, or just, you know, I get the mustache made out of my own body hair, like they used to do in prison. And I would do the long sleeve shirt with the leather elbow patches, packet of crayons in the pocket, dark sunglasses, el mustache, you know, that word curtain, pop that word curtain right above the lip, you know, and just stand there all night. Don't say anything. Some of it's pedophile, or just like something that makes you think of darkness, you know, because that's one thing about Halloween, you know. Sometimes I want to see the dark arts. You know, I want to see the dark arts put on a fashion show. That's Halloween, you know. I want to see young Danny, dude, my boy, jump off the side of that fucking tailgate right in the sheer darkness, thinking he's landing in somebody's yard, going to trick-or-treat in the rich people's neighborhood, and come face to neck with a fire hydrant that's in somebody's yard. You know, that's what I want to experience. I want to play kick the can with some dude, Fat Jeremy, and nobody ever found him. Ever. And this has been probably almost 26 years. Anyhow, man, that's what's going on, dude. That was some of my Halloween. Oh, then I went to the Maroon 5. We're going to get into a few calls. Then I went to the Maroon 5. I also want to tell you guys, if you didn't listen, we had the Brock follow-up. Last week we had Brock called in from Central Missouri. Young fella, 20 years old, called in dealing with some, you know, some confidence issues and, gravitationally advanced, you know, short, small, whatever. We all got something, dude. And we had a bunch of good responses, calls in for him that came in. And so we put that up a special follow-up episode, and that's on iTunes and on YouTube. You can check it out. That's this past follow-up with Brock. But let me tell you about this. So, you know, had the fun day, did that. Got home, and then I'm going to the Maroon 5 party, right? I get there. Well, first I went and met some people for dinner, man. This is what it's like, all right? My buddy sets up this dinner. Like, he's got, like, you know, some girls that he knows from another country or in town in L.A., right? You know, some fancy dudes are cool dudes, you know. They're there. You know, I don't know any of them. And I get to the restaurant late. I'm there 9 minutes. I got like all the leftover foods like at one end of the table, right? So I eat real quick, introduce myself to some people, and then I got to pay part of the bill. None of the girls pay, offer to pay, right? So each dude throwing in 200 bones, right, on this food. And I'm like, fuck this, right? That's what 60% of me said. But 40% of me said, you know, I told my buddy Mike I would be here. He warned me in advance that, you know, sometimes we split we have the men take care of the bill. And I'm like, well, you know, I don't do this Hollywood experience type of night that much because it's not my vibe. I'm just going to be a part of it and see what that's, you know, just be a part of it. You know, sometimes just getting fucked on the money, that's part of something. That's part of whatever it is, you know. But yeah, so next thing you know, I chipped in on this fucking meal, shit, so I'm angry. We get outside. You know, my buddy Mike, he's got a nice car. Everybody gets in his car. Then, like, leftover people are getting in my car. Then they all get out of my car, you know, and want to take an Uber. So that left me feeling kind of weird. I thought it was maybe they didn't like my, I start feeling inferior ideas, popping in my head. I'm not cool. People don't like me. My car isn't, neat enough or fancy enough, And I got a neat car, as far as, I treat myself to a decent car, nothing outrageous, but, it's a fun car. It's cool. It's neat. But anyhow, so now I'm driving out to the party by myself. And then I find out later that everybody took an Uber. They were going to get drugs, right? I don't do drugs. You know what I'm saying, bruh? So now I've done drugs, and I'll drop stories. Dude, I will take a medium range story of mine and throw it up against the best story you haven't even had yet. Dude, I'll mail you an 8-ball for your 30th birthday, and fly in a couple of Guatemalans, dog. And send my friend Veldrin, who has DS and parties, dude. I don't know if you ever known anybody with DS at parties, but this dude, he's got that syndrome, bro, and he gets down, bro. But and I'll still match that story to any of my old stories, because I still want to be, competitive in this, in the fun game. But anyhow, I find out that they all went to get drugs, and I don't do drugs, so at least that made me feel a little bit better. But I'm already kind of not nervous, but just I don't do these kind of parties that much, But I get there, right when I get there, Jeff Ross is there, you know him from the Roast Master, right? And I'm not name dropping, but I am telling you that he was there, and he's going in this like private entrance. There's a regular entrance, there's a back entrance, right, for this Maroon 5 Halloween party, And you don't have to like Maroon 5. That's fine. They just throw a party every year that's like a hip party. And so I'm excited to be going, So Jeff's like, hey, bro, just come in with me, I'm like, well, I'm waiting for my friends. They're not here yet because none of them wanted to ride with me. He's like, I didn't tell him that part, but he's like, come inside, come in with me. So next thing you know, I go in with Jeff and his buddy Qie, and literally right when we walk in, there's like this back, it's this place in LA called Sportsman's Lodge, and it's all like, there's like a pond, and there's like little bridges going over it, and there's like little enclaves here and there, and there's a huge room where there's going to be a performance, and there's another room where there's a DJ, and there's like little bars placed all over. There's an outdoor bar and an indoor bar, and it's probably, the whole thing's probably as big as half of a football field, and then all these little stations are all over the place, or maybe a third of a football field. Let's say that. Anyhow, man, having a good time. Actually, maybe a half. Sorry. But anyhow, we walk in, and then there's Adam Levine, and he have a wig, you have a long wig, and you have skeleton face paint, and a long wig, and he just like, hey, Jeff, what's going on? He starts talking to Jeff Ross. Jeff introduces me, and then he starts saying that we're going to be AC/DC tonight, and we're going to play, his band is going to play like 6 AC/DC songs. And I will put a little bit of that footage into the YouTube so you can just see what it was like. I'll put that at the top of the YouTube so you can see what that's like. But anyhow, so next thing you know, like it was kind of neat just to hear. And I'll say this: the guy had a really nice vibe, super friendly. I've always heard that he's a friendly guy, Adam Levine, but anyway, super nice. Dressed as like kind of like a not like a cross-dressing, I guess is more the term, cross-dressing skeleton. And he had on like a choker, and he's got on this wig. But he starts saying that they're going to play, 6 AC/DC songs. So suddenly I feel a little bit more comfortable at the party because now I've like met the guy whose party it is. I'm here with Jeff Ross, Jeff Ross is like this kind of roaming dinosaur when he's anywhere. He always has this like confidence about him, which at a party is really nice because he's been in LA forever. He knows everyone, and he just feels comfortable kind of wherever he is. This is his home turf, So anyhow, we roll around this party, and there's some great costumes, man. There's everything from like the scariest stuff to, pregnant people. Oh, one guy had like a tablet on his front and a tablet on his back, and he had a shirt, and the tablets were like, there were like rectangles cut out in the shirt, and there was a tablet, a rectangle cut out in the front, rectangle cut out in the back, and the tablets on each side, so the screen's facing out his back and out on the front. And somehow he had this camera situation set up where you could see through him. So if you were standing behind him, the screen showed what was through him on the other side. And if you were standing in front of him, that screen showed what was behind him. So it was so bizarre, man. Like the dude, you could literally be watching the performance. If you stood behind him, you could be watching the performance through a human. So I'd never done anything like that, man. I've never looked through anybody. I've stared maybe into an orifice or two, but I've never really, looked through someone. But anyway, so next thing you know, we're walking around this party, had a good time, the band plays. There was some really bizarre, like, hallways and stuff you could walk down. People are on Molly, people are on ecstasy, people are on, you can see some cocaine here and there. Everybody has wigs on, so as long as anybody's got semi-decent cheekbones, everybody looks fine as fuck, Trying to think of some great costumes that I saw. Man, there were so many. There's a bunch of Harvey Weinsteins. Oh, they kind of had this black guy who was dressed as a bull chained to the wall, and people were taking pictures with him. It was almost like an exhibit. A little slavish to me, honestly, and a lot of people were saying that. And if you had taken this, I thought about this. If somebody had done this at a party in South Carolina, North Carolina, Alabama, it would not have gone over well, right? But in California, it's for some reason that's not inappropriate, right? To have a black man chained up dressed as a bull. And really, in my mind, I didn't think, my first thought isn't, oh, this dude is just, this is like some slavery enactment. My first thought is, oh, they just got a guy to be a bull. The guy happens to be black, he doesn't have a shirt on. He's shackled on each arm to the wall, and he just has pants on, right? A little bizarre, but that's my first thought. But then in the scope of the world, or the universe and the media, especially in America, I'm thinking that if someone did this in the South or in the middle of America, that somebody in one of, some media person would say, oh, look how fucked up these people are for doing this. This is so wrong. But as long as it's in a place like Los Angeles or New York or a big city, then it's okay. I don't like those. I just don't like how, I don't know, that kind of stuff. I don't like when things are unfair. And I think that, so that's where my mind took it. My mind took it like, oh, well, if somebody did this, where I'm from, then they would be looked at as a racist, even though they were just trying to achieve the same goal as someone is here, which is just to have a neat exhibit and to give a man some work who is obviously an artist or an entertainer, or a model. I mean, the guy was jacked, he had a very strong shoulders and physique. So anyway, I don't know. That shit was super bizarre. If I can find a picture of that, I'll put that at the front of the YouTube as well, just so you can check it out. But that was it, man. I walked around. I saw some gal that I hooked up with a while back. She, fuck, I don't know. She used to have a drug problem. I think she still does. Made me glad that I wasn't with her, just because I don't want to be having that problem, I talked to some new friends, and when I was leaving, I was leaving out by myself, and there's Adam Levine in the same place as I'm walking out in this like back little area, and I'm not trying to name drop here, but I'm just telling you this story. To me, this is kind of a Hollywood story. So he goes, hey, what'd you think of the show? And I thought it was awesome. Like, Sammy Hagar got up there. I said, dude, I didn't know that I liked AC/DC as much as I did, because the show was fucking awesome. Like, I mean, I love AC/DC, apparently. I didn't know that. I mean, it took me back to my childhood. I knew every word of the song. I mean, it was great. And he goes, man, I didn't know that either. He's like, I've been listening to him for the past month just because I've just wanted to get in tune with the song so I could sing them. But he's like, I didn't know that either. He's like, where's Jeff Ross? I said, oh, I think they're about to leave. And then I grabbed Jeff, and they chatted for a little while. There was like kind of a little bit of a group conversation. I think some people seemed to, high on whatever they were doing, having a good time, and that was it, man. And then I drove home, and that was my Halloween. That was my Halloween. So just wanted to share that with you, man. We had some calls come in. I'm sorry that I took so long. I've taken so much of this episode for myself, but I'm dressed like a newsie, which is one of Christian Bale's early films. If you want to go check that out, I believe it's on Netflix now. It's a musical, and it's about when they didn't have papers anymore. People couldn't sell papers anymore. And there was a law or an issue with it. But let me get to some calls right now. I got to get out of here. I'm actually doing Joey Coco Diaz's podcast as well tonight. But let's get to some calls here. Here we go. This one is from across the pond, where they might celebrate Halloween.
Yo, Theo, what's up, man? Calling from Ireland, Dublin. Christian here.
Hey, thank you very much for calling. I don't know if your name is Christian or if you are Christian, but either one, you're welcome here, brother. Thank you for calling. Onward.
Man, just calling just to send my love right out to you. That last episode. Fuck, man. Just spilling your heart out. Talking about love, talking about, your difficulty accepting it at times. And I don't know, man. I appreciate your podcast. And really, when you lay it out like that, and when you lay it out so bare, helps me, it reminds me that I'm not the only one who feels certain ways about certain things. So, yeah, lots of love.
I appreciate it, man. I didn't mean to cut you off there, but I appreciate it, and I do appreciate that sentiment, Yeah, my brother told me whenever I started this podcast, I had him listen to an episode, and my brother's really, he's the love of my life, to be honest with you. I don't know if I always would have said that as a child, but, cause we didn't know each other, but as I've gotten older, he has been, he's been like a father to me at sometimes, a role model, a leader. Damn, this shit's got me choked up. He's been everything to me, man, and he listened to an episode when I first started this podcast, and he said, man, he said, it's weird. You just, you're just putting your thoughts and you're putting your feelings out there, and you're sharing a lot about yourself. And I say, yeah, and he goes, just be careful. He said, just be careful. And if people call in and they share about themselves, just be grateful, and so that's just what I've tried to do, man. I try to be a little bit careful because I don't want to be, have nothing for myself that I don't share. But at the same time, I'm sick of being in a fucking world where, people are just, I feel like we're always just getting tricked with bullshit and things aren't real. Like, why we have to have why there have to be so many layers of unreality for us to just share like whatever's kind of the truest thing to us sometimes. And anyhow, I know I'm going off on a tangent. But yeah, man, I appreciate that call, and I get some other ones like this. And I mean, honestly, I get a decent amount of calls like this, and I liked this one for one because I like the accent, and you saying that accent is just charming, and it made me feel good to know that somebody far away in Ireland has, and I'm fucking almost dressed, dude. I'm dressed like kind of like an Irish lesbian right now, but in this newsy outfit. But that somebody far away has some, that we can have similar feelings, because it just inspired me and made me think even more that, that we're just how similar we all are, But yeah, I try to put myself out there, man. Sometimes this show is like it just give me an opportunity to think and to feel, and I don't know. My emotions are so close to what I'm doing all the time for some reason. And a lot of my life, I haven't liked that about myself because it's hard for me to hide the way I feel sometimes. Like if I'm talking to somebody, it's hard for me to, if I'm nervous or if I'm excited or if I'm, lying, all those things, very hard for me to hide them because it's right there with me all the time. Or if I'm, feeling admiration or feeling love, it's always hard for me to hide some of those things, or to, I don't know. I don't even know what I'm talking about right now, man. But I appreciate your call, dude, and you guys do that for me. You guys call in and give out the shit, and give out the feelings. And, I just hated living in a world for so long where people aren't doing that, I just got tired of hearing about some shit. I want to hear what's making you feel something, That's what I just wanted to hear. So, but look, man, you're welcome. That's all I mean to say, dude. Fucking, that was the most long-winded. You're welcome. Let's move to another call, man. You're welcome, and I love having you as a listener, man. And I appreciate you being, willing enough to share how you felt about that. To call up another dude and leave a voicemail, and just say, look, man, I appreciate what's going on. I appreciate you for that. Let's hear another one. Here we go.
Hey, Theo. I would love to hear you talk more, or talk sometime about interacting with wild animals. I think around the time when we grew up, we did a lot more of it than kids are doing nowadays, and some funny shit always happened. I'm a wildlife biologist, and so I'm out in the wilderness all the time, mostly in Alaska and Central America, and I kicked a caribou in the face one time when I got charged. I had to choke out a swan in a survival situation, and shit happens if you're out there long enough. So I bet you got some funny stories about possums and raccoons and God only knows what from growing up in Louisiana.
Damn, bro. First of all, I had to choke out a swan in a hostage situation, I think you said. Maybe the quote of a lifetime. If you hear this, and I'll go back and look for your number on the Google voicemail. And also, you can hit the hotline, 985-664-9503. If you have a thought or call or an idea, anything you want to contribute to the podcast, hit it up. But, dude, yeah. I mean, I remember finding they had some man in our town, I guess, had been trying to get I don't know if it was a peacock or something to run cocaine for them. They found peacocks had like a cocaine kind of taped around their neck, and they found 3 of them. And so this had been somebody was trying to train cocks, or, peacocks, and cocks is short for that, to run dope. And I guess it's not a bad idea, because when you see a peacock, the last thing you're thinking, this animal have cocaine on it. You're looking at the show, you're looking at the big the flared tail comes out, and you're looking at that. You're not thinking this animal running dope. And so it's a smart idea, because they're putting on that show, and meanwhile they're selling dope on the side, It's almost like when a hooker sells drugs. You so hypnotized by that posse that you ain't a lot of time thinking that they might be drug muling, They might have balloons full of heroin in their buttocks. Because you're so keyed in on that vagina, you ain't even thinking that just inches away, that buttocks may be holding, kilos of dope. And so that's a beautiful, that's beautiful, man. That's what's happening out there. But yeah, somebody was trying to do that. I remember, dude, they had a lady train butterflies to be around her, and I don't know if she was hiding, seed in her hair, or doing, hiding, putting different types of sugar drip or something in her hair, or honey behind her ears or whatever, but she was training these butterflies to be around her. And she would get stung by other bees and wasps and stuff, and, other non-butterflies, we'll call them. But she did a decent job of having those butterflies around. But yeah, I remember doing a lot more with that. I remember getting attacked by animals. Getting attacked by animals a lot, dude. Watching dogs making love a lot in the neighborhood. They had a dachshund that, I swear to God, took somebody's virginity in our neighborhood on accident. You saw some things. They had a bad wire in our neighborhood on one of the power lines, and birds were always getting electrocuted up there. Dead birds, and most of the time when I found them, they would be dead long enough where I knew I don't have any semblance of responsibility towards them anymore. And that's one thing you notice with animals. But look, man, I would love it, and I'm going to reach out to you. I want to hear more about these animals, and we might have animal questions for you. So I'd love to hit you up with some animal questions and see what we can get out of you, bro, and get some information, because it seemed like you are a man that has information, and I appreciate you calling. But yeah, there was a better time when people and animals interacted more. And I wasn't a Tarzan, you know what I'm saying? I didn't grow up in the jungle. I just grew up in Covington, Louisiana. I grew up in a small town. You know, I grew up in population probably maybe 3,000, 3,800, 3,900. You know, good people doing their best. Mixed vibe out there, you know. I grew up out here in America. All right, let's hear a little bit more. Onward.
Hey, Theo. My name's Brock Hames. I'm from right outside Atlanta, in Dallas, Georgia. And you just said something on this latest podcast that kind of really resonated with me, talking about the Emmys and whatnot. How just, you know, nothing feels real anymore. It really doesn't. It's like people almost try to capitalize on how authentic they are. But I don't know, it's troubling. It's troubling if you're really into art in any format. That's why I really think people like you and Joe Rogan and Donald Glover are just you know, just gems in the world.
Hey man, I appreciate that, dude. And this isn't I didn't mean, I'm not trying to make this podcast you know, only play calls that say nice things about Theo episode. But I did like this call, and this call was a while back. This was from the Emmys. And some calls, look, man, you know, I get a lot of voice messages, and we'll keep them in rotation until there's a time when it fits or when a time when I can use it. But, yeah, I agree, man. You know? And it's a struggle to find out what's real, and it's one of the things that keeps me in bed. It's one of the things that defeats me a lot of times, you know, that nothing is real, you know, that this is all, we're all just victims of commercialism, and that we're not even, are we even in charge of our own brains a lot of times because, you know, there's so much data collected by the choices we've made, especially with the internet. So, and I mean, the internet is just a place where everything we do is so monitored, accurately monitored, mathematically monitored, that equations can be made to figure out who we are and what we're going to do next. It's baffling. But yeah, that nothing is real anymore. You know, and I feel like that I'm kind of in a search for that right now myself, and I think a lot of people in the world are. You know, especially in America, you know, or a lot of people in the America that I see. And it could just be my perspective, but I think but you know what, I feel it, dude. I feel in my bones and in my heart that a lot of people are looking just what they want, shit that's real. I don't want this fake shit, you know? I don't want this fake shit. I don't want some, you know, celebrity who's lying to me just to, you know, fill some image, you know? Or, you know, you have a lot of, like in the past few years, you've had a lot of female celebrities hop on the feminism bandwagon just to make money. Don't think we didn't see that. We're not ignorant, you know? Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't like seeing some things that just aren't genuine, you know, or at least trying to be, you know. Yeah, it's tough, man. We want to try and find things that are real. We want to have real moments with people, and yeah, I appreciate that, and that's why I appreciate some of you guys' calls, man. You know, and I appreciate some of these moments, dude, because yeah, we're out here just looking for something real, man. That's what I'm doing. I know that's what a lot of you guys are doing. Shit, dude. I got to go do Joey Coco Diaz's podcast right now. I promised him I'd be there. I'm already going to be late, but I'm going to come back and finish this up a little bit later tonight. So I'll just have to put this fucking costume back on, dude. But man, I'm enjoying this time with you guys. Nothing is real, man. Or what is real? What are we looking for? I don't know, but let's get into that next episode. Maybe we'll do that. How about that? Let's get into that next episode. There's a couple other calls that are really good that I want to get to, but we're going to do it next week. This has already been a long episode. But what's real anymore? You know? What is real? How do you find out what's real? What do you search for? What do you do? What do you recommend? I love the fact that people are listening to podcasts. I love the fact that a gentleman just recommended to me Donald Glover. You know, because I didn't know that. I want to check him out. You know, I love the fact that you hear guys on these podcasts who are sharing real shit. You know, I love the fact that we're creating a culture here on this past weekend where, you know, this follow-up episode with Brock that we put up last week, man, it was a really neat. I thought it was for me, dude. Not on, you know, really, I thought it was cool, dude. How many people called in, man, with different accents and different thoughts and fucking like. You know, other people that are shorter, experiencing shit. You know? Damn, we just got so like, everybody feels alone, but we're not alone, man. We're just so separate now. We're so separate. You know, we're in our own cars. We're in our own homes, you know. We're not in groups. We're not seeing what's going on. We're not seeing when our friend is struggling. You know? Dude, in the old days, you could tell in a heartbeat. Your buddy's shoulders were a little bit sunk, and you knew in a heartbeat to put your hand on his back, you know? Or to, you know, pay for his gum at the dime store or whatever, you know? You knew in a heartbeat to let him ride your bike if you got the new bike. You know? I mean, you knew things. You know, you saw somebody, you know, a kid shooting hoops by himself in the neighborhood, you knew to pull over. You know, to bike on over there, just say, what's up? Walk through his ditch, come up the other side of his ditch. Hey, man, you know? You could tell just by somebody's behavior what's going on, but we don't see people's behaviors that much anymore. You know, we're just getting too separate. You know, and that's one of the things that's like, and I don't know how to heal that. And it's not my responsibility to heal that either. You know, I'm not feeling this insane responsibility, but I guess I just, you know, what do I do for myself to heal it? You know, I try to keep in touch with my loved ones. You know, I try to, when somebody says something nice to me, like the dude from Ireland said, I try to let that, you know, resonate in me for a second instead of just, you know, I try to listen a little bit with my heart. So let that shit hit me down in that fucking ticker and that blood ticker, you know? You know, I talk to my mother even when I don't want to sometimes. You know? I don't know, but I'm learning. What do you do, man? What do you do to keep shit real in your life? You know? That's what was so great about Halloween back in the day was it was an escape. That was an escape. Now it's Halloween every moment of our lives, you know, with social media. But that was an escape, man. But yeah, let's do that for next week, man. Hit the hotline, 985-664-9503. Happy Halloween to you guys. You know, if you got some kids out there with some beautiful, you know, you got some beautiful children, get some photos of them, you know. You know, get out there and trick or treat and hold your wife's hand while you're walking down the street, you know. Or if you got an ex-wife and y'all made those children together and you taking them trick or treating, take a cute picture, you know, send them. I mean, these are things you're going to do anyway, but if you get that feeling in your heart that, man, this is something I should do right now, that's your instincts, you know? And if you got a good heart, then your instincts are going to be good. You know, we have to start to, you know, and I say that because sometimes I doubt my own instincts, even though I know that my heart is trying to be in the right place, you know? Just some self-doubt and shit. I don't know, man. I'm a little bit all over the place today, but it's Halloween, bro, you know? And I'm just a dead bird, dude. I'm just a dead bird in a box, you know? Just trying to get returned at a CVS, man. But I love you guys. I appreciate you guys for being here. Happy Halloween. Hit the hotline, 985-664-9503. If you have a male issue, if you're dealing with a male issue and you live in the California area, hit me up on the hotline. Let me know what's going on. It could be a relationship issue. It could be a self-worth issue. It could be any man issue. Any issue that you're dealing with as a man. It could be anything. From erectile dysfunction to, you know, you're feeling short. You know, we just may be, we're doing a new pilot for Comedy Central, and we may be using some people who have actual real problems, you know. So we'll see what's up, man. Y'all be good. Take care. Brush your hair. Be good to yourselves. I bet you deserve it. I'll write it in. Here we go. That werewolf, boy. He wild, isn't he? He wild. That's crazy right there. That's the good stuff. Y'all be good, man.